walikuwa hawakusikia, nafikiri kuna wachache hawakusikia, lakini mambo tutawaeleza baadaye. Amenena mambo mazuri sana. For now we're going to connect with another one member online. Azungumze kidogo tu, because some of these guys are having a bigger plan of making sure that the Baba comes, and we want to give them audience so they can tell us exactly what's going on. So you see our technician is running around. He's trying to make sure that everything is put in place in the right way. So I think we're gonna switch to that, but before then, it's also because Mama ameongea nikasikia vizuri sana. I think we are shutting off some of our gentlemen and ladies who have very good words of advice to tell us. Mzee Nyong'o, nikiona hiyo kofia nafikiri kuna maarifa ndani kidogo. Please, can you come and say one word while we are waiting for those guys to come? Huyu ni mzee, nafikiri yuko Azimio, sijui, lakini nafikiri yeye ni mwana Azimio. Hata ukimwangalia vile anatembea ni kama baba. Kwa hivyo najua ni mwana Azimio kweli kweli. Karibu mzee.
Asante sana bwana MCA. Ulisema Azimio? Inawezekana. Azimio? Inawezekana. Asante sana. Sikutarajia kuongea, sikuwa nimejitayarisha, lakini kwa vile nimepewa nafasi, mimi nitasema neno moja ama mawili. Kwanza, vile alisema, mimi niko ndani ya Azimio miaka yote, hata kabla Azimio haijazaliwa, I was already there. I have been a defender of Baba maybe a lot longer than most of you, even before I went to jail. I've been associated with him. He has even bought me beer in Nairobi West very many years back, but that's not the reason. I have been subscribing to his ideals of liberating our country and bringing it where there's equitable distribution of resources amongst all Kenyans. A thing that has not happened for a long time, in which I think, given a chance, together with other able and like thinking minds, is able to bring to our people. I am not been keen on becoming a politician because I'm not. I cannot stand on the platform and convince many people, because mine is to wait and do the arithmetic. That's what God gave me. Yangu ni kupiga hesabu. Watu wengi wananijua mimi ni mkubwa wa hesabu. In Kenya, when I was finance manager at National Cereals and Produce Board, they used to call me mkubwa ya hesabu Kenya yote. I also served a little bit as chief accountant at Kenyatta National Hospital. Nilikuwa mkubwa ya hesabu. Siasa ilikuwa mbali. The reason why I even came to this country is because I did not agree with the leadership we had in the organizations that I worked for. I was a loner. At one stage at the National Cereals and Produce Board, wale watu walikuwa kubwa walisema, huyu mtu analinda pesa ni kama ya mama yake. And the young people used to come and whisper to me, tread carefully. That's why at the end of the day, I retired from National Cereals at a young age. But I used to tell them, yes, nalinda hii pesa ni ya mama yangu. And I still believe, if I went back, I would still tell them the same. Kwa hivyo ndugu zanguni, let's vote for people who will bring that equity. We will have everybody every Kenyan in mind. And as at now, I think Baba Tosha.
Thank you, Bwana Ong'o. Alex Ong'o is a big Azimio man. Right now, we're going to welcome Kisumu Governor, Professor Nyong'o.
Mori?
And he's coming in online.
Must be. I think it is Edward Oyoga, I think.
Oh, you want me to talk? Okay, so, okay. Hello? Can you hear me? Let me know when you can hear me, then I can go ahead and speak. Oh, I mute my thing. Hello? Hello? Yeah, but can you hear me? Okay. Well, thank you very much, Minnesota chapter. I am Dr. Yugi, and I'm one of the northeastern chapter of Azimio. I come from Suba area, but now I live in New York. First, I would like to congratulate Minnesota chapter for their launch and for representing Azimio in the United States. You are the first to launch. We congratulate you and we encourage you to continue doing the same. We are very happy with what you have done, and we hope there will be many to follow in your footsteps, including the Northeastern US, which has a robust group supporting Azimio. Over here, we have a good group, including Dr. Mburo, Otieno Mbok, Joe Bagar, Eno Sudera, Amos Atonga, Eric Wakiaga, Oyuga, Ojuok, and many others, to mention a few. I would also like you to know that Azimio has other chapters that we are hoping that we can put together and also advise them on what to do and how to do it. Of course, every local group have their own way of doing things. We have the Minnesota chapter, which is launching today. We have the Dallas, Texas chapter. We have Houston, Texas chapter. We have North Carolina. We have the DC area chapter, and of course, the Northeastern and around Boston area. We are hoping that other chapters will come up and will support the cause of Azimio in Kenya. So I know it is late, it's kindly almost heading to 10 now. I just want to congratulate you and know that we are with you. We support what you are doing, and we congratulate you on your launch. We hope when we launch ours, you will also give us the necessary support. For the candidates coming from Kenya, I wish you well in your political endeavor. And may, if you win, please, I hope that you do the right thing for your constituents. And may God bless Kenya, and we hope that this time around, God will bless Kenya with the right candidate, who is Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga. And I hope that you will be able to connect Professor Nyong'o to talk to us. I look forward to hearing his speech. Thank you very much. I just want to let you know that our chairman is Amos Atonga, and I hope that he will give me a chance to say hi to everyone else. Thank you very much, and may God bless.
Hello, Bernard. Can you hear me? Hello? Can you hear me? Hello?
Click on the audio. Are you there? Okay. Did you do that? Yeah, click on that. Click on that. Okay. Professor, we can hear you. Hello, Professor, we can hear you. This is terrible.
I know.
Yes. You talk. Yeah, Professor, you go ahead. Yes, go ahead. Go ahead and talk.
Okay, fine. I'm sorry about this, but Bernard, you gave me such a complicated technology early in the morning.
Okay. Go ahead.
We are used to Zoom or WebEx or something like that. This one I don't understand. Anyway, good morning, everybody.
Good
It
morning.
is now about About 5 in the morning. I woke up at 3 and I've been trying to join you people. I'm sorry about that, but you people are more used to this technology than we are here. Let me just congratulate you for organizing this Azimio launch in Minnesota. I think it's a great idea to keep people in touch and to keep us in touch with you, because we need everybody to accomplish this third liberation that will give us an opportunity for tremendous economic transformation. As you know, Kenya is really poised for a real economic transformation, but it needs the right people in place to captain the ship that can sail through this ocean of development. You do remember that in 2003, when the NAC government came to power, it really changed things in a very short time. After the decades of both social and economic decay. Our manifesto as NAC was called Democracy and Popular Empowerment. And the plan that we put in place for implementing democracy and popular empowerment was called Economic Recovery Strategy for Wealth and Employment Creation. And it did achieve that purpose in a very short time, to create wealth and employment at the same time. You understand that over the last couple of years, we have created wealth, but only for a small section of society, with very little popular empowerment. This is understandable, especially when the government is investing heavily in infrastructure, but at a cost that is not commensurate with what is being done. And even President Uhuru Kenyatta did accept that the cost is something to do with financing corruption at the tune of 2 billion shillings a year. That is something that we must stop if those resources are going to be used for economic empowerment and the economic transformation that we are envisaging. That is why Raila said quite openly and consistently, and in consistency with his stand in Kenyan politics during the second liberation, that he knows where the money is to undertake this third liberation. The money can be found by sealing the holes through which corruption saps resources from our nation. We cannot say that very exactly at this point in time, but having been in government before and having received the confession by the president himself that corruption takes 2 billion shillings a day from our economy, that money alone would be enough to do a lot of things. If you do save that money for 1 month, you will easily finance the highway that we are building now on Wayaki Way to Uhuru Highway. Further, there is also a lot of duplication in functions as opposed to what the Constitution laid out very clearly in Schedule 4, which divided functions between devolved government and national government. I'll give you an example. Roads within counties by Schedule 4 is a function of county government. There is no reason why the national government should be building rural roads in a county through a body called Kenya Rural Roads Authority. That money can be easily used by a county government to cut down on the personnel charges or salaries that Kura pays its officials. That function can easily be done by the roads department in counties. Those people working in national government under Kura, if they want jobs, they can get them in counties and do a much more effective job. And we stop all the other expenses that the government goes through by supporting such unnecessary corporations. And we can go further and find others where we can cut down on personnel emoluments by synchronizing the functions of the county governments and national government in strict conformity to Schedule 4 of the Constitution. And if indeed something is missing in Schedule 4 of the Constitution that can make work more efficient and cost effective, we can look at that through proposals we had made in BBI. That's why we were saying that we need to relook at our Constitution after being in practice for now 10 years since it was promulgated in 2010, I mean. Remember, the American Constitution was changed several times soon after it came into being. Now we have several amendments, important amendments to the American Constitution, which are usually quoted in cases that you yourself are aware of. Changing a constitution is not something that is sinful or wrong, but if you do it for the right reason, to make it be much more practical after you've had several years of using it in practice, then it makes sense. So we don't want any sentiment about constitutional change that is basically partisan. We look at the realities of Kenyan politics and the way development and do things that will make it accomplish the third revolution, which is real economic transformation of our society. I've just been to Senegal and I came back yesterday. And what Senegal has done since the presidency of the Olai Wad and now Macky Sall is commendable, but they're also facing the same problem that, yes, you can invest heavily in infrastructure. Yes, you can make sure that it's cost effective, but you cannot do that without also having certain policies that empower people socially and economically. It is for that reason that during this change, when infrastructure is important, the transformation of the economy, we have proposed giving our families 6,000 shillings, so that because infrastructure for some time is a jobless, doesn't increase as much jobs as when you invest in agriculture, for example. You need to cushion the underprivileged society so that they too can be in a position to live a livable life. At the same time, you need to make education really, really supported by the state. Remember, the NAC government made primary school education free. When we proposed it, people said it's not possible. But we implemented it within the first week of coming into power. And in the end, it has now become acceptable. And so it has been proposed really that the state should look after those going to school after university. After all, this is done in a place like Germany. Now, there are certain expenses that we associate with university education that should also be rationalized so that we don't spend so much, but give university education to as many people who deserve it as possible. And thirdly, not everybody needs to go to university. In Germany, 75% of people who finish high school go to polytechnics. And acquire skills. Now, some of these people, when they go and get employed in industry, they earn even more than the people who earn university degrees. So these are some of the things we need to look at in our economy at this point in time when we're going through the third revolution for economic transformation. That will make us a much, much better economy and which looks after its people thoroughly and carefully. Now, of course, we know that we will soon be publishing our manifesto, which manifesto will be used for coming out with the program of action when we come into government. That's exactly what we did under NAC with a manifesto, which was transformed into economic recovery for wealth and employment education, which was now a government program for implementing the manifesto proposals. If you remember, manifesto proposals are usually put in very broad terms so that they are not the people are not encumbered with details which they don't really need to handle, because some of them are technical and involve people with the professional knowledge. But at least in a manifesto, you should lay down the broad principles, goals, and commitments and ideologies that make it possible for people to make a choice between one candidate or the other. And I think from where we stand now, Azimio has been received very well. One, it is committed to national unity, and what we have done is to embrace all those who commit themselves to national unity and renounce chauvinism and ethnic particularism. And secondly, to commit ourselves to working together as a nation, because unity is strength and division is weakness. Thirdly, it is important that this national democratic front is really democratic. And it's a front for everybody, which accepts one leadership. And this is what we are trying to do during the Azimio rallies, that we go everywhere and sell the policies to people and welcome those who are committed to national unity and to the real economic transformation of our nation. And I think a lot of small parties that come up because people want to be elected see the sense of joining Azimio and having one national democratic movement that will unite the nation and give people the strength for this vital economic transformation that we need. I think at the moment, that's really what I can say very generally on where we are and where we are going. And obviously, elections are not cheap things. You have to travel, you have to give information to the social media, through newspapers, and so on. And that's why we welcome you using this media that Bernard has created. Is very important, because now such a media can reach anywhere in the world. If we can support our people back at home, those campaigning as MCAs, MPs, senators, governors, and of course our candidate, that will create a dynamic that is difficult to stop. As we say, the ship has left the port, the train has left the station, destination is finally Canaan. Azimio. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Colette, we appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, any question?
Young. Wait, Young. Yes. Any question for Professor?
Any question for Professor? Any question for Professor?
Mheshimiwa.
Yeah, Mheshimiwa, go forward there. Go front there. Go front there. Okay. Is my audio on also? The one for check.
Bernard, you may have to repeat the question because I can't hear it.
Okay. Mheshimiwa, come and ask the question over here. That microphone is not working good. Come over here, please. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, let him come up here. Let him come. Okay. Mheshimiwa, come here, please. Yes, come. Mheshimiwa, come. Come.
Professor, how is Kisumu?
Kisumu is fine.
That's good, Professor.
Okay,
Our former MP for Bomachoke. MP for Bomachoke is coming to us.
Okay.
Yeah. He's coming. I mean, the former MP Machoge, the die-hard Ford Kenya supporter for Jaramogi is here. I think you'll know him.
What is his name again?
Your Excellency.
Yeah.
Your name first.
Ferdinand Obule, former
okay.
MP.
Obamachog, I remember, yes. Yeah.
Yes, you remember. Just to thank you very much for a good speech, and we wish you well, and all of us trying to do our best. Here we have opened the chapter from Minnesota and other places. The question I'm asking, Your Excellency, is that how how do we let us from United States to Kenya? How can we help? Should we be on the
Well,
ground, or
sorry.
people that we go?
Well, there are several ways of helping, really. What you are doing now is actually part of the help of interacting with us and knowing what's going on and making suggestions and encouraging. That's help. But the other help is really material. As you know, you have been a politician, elections in this country cost something like they do elsewhere. I mean, people have to travel, people have to accommodate themselves, people have to advertise in the papers, people have to, during nominations, have to print stationery. All those practical things of running an election cost something. And not just in Kenya, but elsewhere. In the US during elections, they're fundraising, candidates fundraise and so on. So I think fundraising to finance the electoral process is very important. And everybody who supports a cause, that is a contribution that one has to make because it is a practical contribution. So I would say two things really from the US. One is doing the thing you are now doing and making it known that Azimio exists, these are its policies, and we are keeping on what's going on and enlightening the people in the US. And secondly, apart from raising that awareness, is realizing the goals of Azimio, the coming into government. I mean, it's no longer having Azimio if it cannot come into government and create change. I gave you the example of National Rainbow Coalition. If we had not formed the government in 2003, Kenya would be very different today because the same Nyayo era would have continued, and there would be much more economic decay and backwardness than happened under NAC. Remember under NAC, within the first 2 weeks, people were arresting policemen on the streets for taking bribes. Unfortunately, we lost that spirit and commitment, but this is where I think we come in. You come in.
Okay. Thank you very much for answering my question.
Another question, Prof. Yeah.
Sir. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Bernard, you may have to repeat the question. I can't hear it.
Yeah.
Bernard?
The first one relates to the challenges us who are living in the diaspora are facing with either registering to vote. What are the plans to make that process for those who are in the diaspora be able to vote more easily and comfortably? What's in it? And then the second question relates to devolution. There are challenges with devolution in terms of what roles the central government is supposed to play vis-a-vis the roles that the county government is supposed to play. An example is the payment of the doctors and the medical staff. What plans are there in place to mitigate those challenges? Because some of those roles that need to be taken care of government and the county government.
The doctor's training is a very simple thing. I mean, the Constitution says that the national government is responsible for training and research, and policy, national policy on health. The county governments, just like in the US, are responsible for delivering health services. Okay. Now, the problem has been that county government employ and pay all personnel, be they doctors, nurses, clinicians, researchers, and so on. The county government employ and pay all of them. When it comes to training, for example, in-service training, then our doctors leave the counties to go to MTRH or Kenyatta National Hospital to be trained. Then the national government says, while they're being trained, we pay them. Now, this is an anomaly. You can't pay somebody when it's not rendering you service. We are expecting to provide medical services, and at the same time, we are deprived of our doctors when they are training, and we are expected to pay them. So we said, well, this is a dishonesty on the part of the national government. This must be straightened, so that when doctors go for training, the national government takes over their salaries and remunerations. When they leave training and come back, then we pay them. It's just fair. That's one. Secondly, it is quite clear that although the Constitution says that at least 15% of the national budget should go to the counties, quite often it is hardly 15%. And even if it is 15%, very often it is disbursed very late. So if it is disbursed late, it means the county government accumulate a lot of pending bills. And pending bills attract interest. So these are some of the things that at least Azimio intends to correct. They are basically mentality in the national government, which is trying all this time, have been trying to deny the reality of devolution, so that it can keep for itself more power than it deserves under the Constitution. Basically, as a governor and having been in the Senate, I've seen and I've known this is the problem. So what we in the Council of Governors try to do is to try and get money from development partners that can help finance development, particularly because money going to development in the county governments is very little. Most of the money goes for remuneration and personnel emoluments and so on. And that is an anomaly because the money that goes to the national government for development is enormous. And then the national government has the advantage of being able to borrow. And they can borrow and increase the ceiling for borrowing through parliament, as you saw recently. Whereas the county government, in order to borrow money, you have to be credit rated. And that credit rating is controlled by Commissioner for Revenue Allocation, which is the national government institution. At the moment, there are only 4 counties which are credit rated. That is Makueni, Bungoma, Laikipia, and Kisumu. And none of them has been able to borrow money from the capital markets, because once you are credit rated, the process of borrowing money from the capital markets again depends on the national government to clear you. So there are too many obstacles to resource access for the counties that really doesn't give the opportunity for county government to do what they are potentially capable of doing. And if you compare devolved government in the US to devolved government in Kenya, the US devolved government is to the states and to the counties in the US. It's light years apart. These are some of the things that we wanted to correct in the constitutional amendment that we're proposing in the BBI. But of course, you know what happened. I hope that when Azimio comes to power, as we have said that we will allocate to counties at least 35% of the national budget, you'll see much more resources in the hands of the county government to perform the devolved functions that are stated clearly in Schedule 4 of the Constitution.
Professor, Dr. One of the chairman is also asking a question. So a quick one, Dr. Yugi, a quick one, then we are done. A quick one, please. 1 second, Dr. Yugi, we are queuing you in. Bring in, okay, unmute Dr. Yugi. Go ahead, unmute Dr. Yugi. Yeah, unmute Dr. Yugi. Dr. Yugi, go ahead.
Hey, Prof, how are you?
Sam, how are you?
I'm good. Good to see you.
I can see you look good, man.
Thank you, thank you. Mine is not a question. I just wanted to emphasize how the diaspora can really participate in a tangible way. And I know that having participated in 2007 election, I know that one of the ways that they can participate is really voters protection, and that requires people really working, doing things in their villages that are tangible, like getting people to vote, and voters protection, and that involves money and coordination. And if each and every diaspora really kind of owns their village or owns their local areas, it makes a difference. I know during 2007, I went to Suba, and it really made a big difference. So just talk about that and encourage the diaspora that they really, really need to do that, because no matter what we do, if we don't protect votes and we don't get people to get out of vote, because there are a lot of limitations for our people, then it may not this may not come true. But I think this time is coming true. So just talk about that briefly.
I think, Sam, you're right. In fact, I would add to that really. Now, you and I are now talking through this medium, okay? You can do this with your people in the village very easily, because people now are social media wise. You know, even women in the villages can tune into these things. You know, so owning the village, I think that's a very good idea. Owning an electoral area, knowing who is standing, knowing who are the mobilizing the voters, encouraging them, supporting them to not just to mobilize but also to protect the votes on voting day is very important. You can own a village not just in your home area but even elsewhere where we have friends. For example, now we are touring the country. I get asked for help in a constituency in Nyeri or in Vihiga. Just yesterday, somebody was calling me from Vihiga, saying he's standing on Azimio, you're having difficulty getting caps and so on. You see, just being in touch with people where it matters, where the vote is mobilized and the vote is cast. I think, Sam, you're very right. And it just depends on individual initiative, really. It's not something that one can be taught. It's just individual initiative and commitment, and it can achieve a lot, by the way. I know in my own constituency, when I was standing as MP, I did get a lot of support from people who are abroad, just by supporting some MCAs, whatnot, standing for elections.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think some doctor is done.
Okay. Thank you so much. Okay. Dr. Yugi, did you finish your question?
No, it's all well answered. It was not even a question, but Dr. has addressed
It's
it.
just a conversation, really. Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to encourage everybody to really own their village, really do something, however small it is. If we all do something, it multiplies. And that's very important.
Yeah.
Just like now we have chapters in Dallas, chapters in Houston, chapters in DC. And so we are all doing something small, and it is becoming bigger in a way. So that's why we are coordinating all these chapters to work together. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor. Governor, can you make your concluding statement, please? Because of time, we need you to rest also.
Bernard, it is what is going to 5:21, so it means as the birds are singing in the morning for people to wake up, I'm going back to bed. Anyway, but let me thank you so much for this initiative. I think we should do it more often so that we are in touch. Let me also say that in a couple of weeks' time, from May 17th to May 21st, we're going to be holding in Kisumu a very, very important Pan-African meeting called the AfriCities Summit, the 9th Summit of AfriCities. AfriCities, organization of AfriCities activities, are coordinated and organized by the Union of Cities and Local Governments in Africa, which is really the Pan-African organization for devolved units in African governments. It's important because it carries on the battle or the conversation on how devolution as a whole in Africa can be a vehicle for popular participation and development in Africa. And we do meet to compare notes, especially given the current two factors facing the world that the world is least prepared for, even up to now. That is climate change and pandemics. We may have seen the the coronavirus pandemic, but let's not forget that there were other pandemics in Africa before then, the Ebola pandemic, the HIV/AIDS, which is still with us, although in many ways has been tamed much better than before. And we don't know what other pandemics may come in the future. So the preparedness of Africa to deal with any pandemic in the future, given our experience so far with pandemics, and also the preparedness of Africa to deal with effects of climate change. In Kisumu County, we know what climate change really is from what we experienced last year and this year, not this year, but last year, with regard to the rise of the levels of the lake and the torrential rains that came and filled the waters of Region Nando with tremendous floods and the amount of wealth, and we lost and opportunities for development, diverting our resources from investments in agriculture to dealing with disaster management. So, and this is not just here, it happens elsewhere too. And the social conflicts that emerge in various parts of Africa as a result of this climate change and disruption of the environment, especially in pastoral societies, you know, and arid areas. So the AfriCities convention in Kisumu is going to be discussing how urban areas, by the way, most Africans are going to be living in urban areas in the next 30 years. It's estimated that by 2050, 50% of Africans will be in urban areas. Whether that urban area is called Ahero or Katito or it is Kisumu or bigger cities like Moroni or towns, I know I mean. But more and more people are going to be living in urban areas. So the urban environment as a scene of habitation and human survival must be looked at very carefully and planned for if we are going to be living in sustainable societies and equitable societies from now on. So this is a very important summit that if you don't attend physically, please go to our website and see how you can attend and contribute online and attend and give your ideas and views on this issue of sustainable urban areas and cities of the future, because you and I know that we are destined for that, whether we like it or not, by the mere development occurring in Africa. I just come from Senegal, and you can't believe the majority of Senegalese people who are living there in rural areas have come into towns. One, because rural areas becoming drier and drier, they need some, and now they're in town, and you can't believe that everybody is trading on one thing to the other, which is also another problem. When people come and everybody is trading, who is doing the work? No. So we must create opportunity for these people to create wealth, to have employment. So it's a much bigger problem than we think of at the moment. But this is the reason why we are organizing this AfriCity Summit in Kisumu on 17th to 21st of May. The last AfriCity Summit was in Marrakesh in November 2018, and the one which focused on the issues to be discussed in Kisumu in a couple of weeks' time. I've just come from Senegal, where the Senegalese is taking it very seriously because they know exactly what it means to them. And I had an audience with President Macky Sall, who is himself coming as chairman of the AU. So I hope that this is something that can attract the attention of Kenyans in diaspora. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Professor. So let's continue from here and have a wonderful time in Kisumu, Professor.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And good night or good day, whichever it is.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. You can log out here. Thank you.
Done. Huh? Okay, thanks. I'll close the. We are done, yeah? I did before we leave. Go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I want to take this opportunity to thank every one of you who made time to come and attend the wonderful launch of Azimio Minnesota. I want to thank you. Mine is job today is just to give a vote of thanks, especially to our guests. I want to thank Professor Nyong'o for finding time to come and talk to us. Dr. Salih, I want to thank you for talking to us. And Salim Gong, the ODM strategist, to talk to us. And thank you, the Minnesota chapter leadership, for organizing this wonderful event. And this is the beginning of our journey to ourselves. So, Azimio in our shukuru sana. All we need to do now is to make sure that the ground back home is Azimio. Tafadhali tuambie jamii zetu, tuambie marafiki zetu, that huu ni wakati wa baba na baba ni set up. I want to thank you, and I'm going to end here. But let this be the beginning of Azimio to set up. Asante sana, and thank you everyone. And now wakati mema mkurudi na nyumbani, mpeleke salamu na tunatuangalia toka tafadhali. Let us not come. Hakuna kuelekeza kama sasa ndio wakati wa kuvuta kama kweli kweli, kwa sababu kazi ndio hii. Asante sana, Mungu awabariki.
Thank you. Watu wamechoka. Close. Yes, it's done. Tufunge. Wait. We are queuing Ongeri, eh? We are queuing Ongeri, eh? 1 second. We are queuing Ongeri. Henry. Yeah. People are done. Can you queue in Ongeri? Can you queue in Ongeri? Queue in Ongeri. Professor Ongeri. Yeah, Professor Ongeri. Queue in Ongeri, Professor. Yes. Queue in by the way. Queue in by the way.
Good evening, good afternoon, whichever may apply. Wherever you are. This is Professor Samson Kejengo Ongeri, Senator for Kisi County. Previously, as a resume of my CV, I was trained and acquired the degree of medicine, Bachelor of Medicine and Bachelor of Surgery, MBBS. Then I was admitted to the through the University of London. I became a member of the Royal College of Physicians, UK, and then I also acquired a diploma in child health in London. I also qualified and got a diploma in immunology in Switzerland and Nairobi. I've been a lecturer at the University of Nairobi, rising to the rank of a professor of medicine, pediatrics and child health in the University of Nairobi. During that period of time, that was between 1970 and 1988, 72 to 1988. I've held various positions in the ranks. In the early 80s, I was the chairman of Kenya National Trading Corporation, and then subsequently became the chairman of Kenya Industrial Estate, 84 to 88. I became the first minister for technical training and applied technology, 1988 to 1982. I am the one who developed the Chuakali sector, the one which is the basis upon which vocational and technical training programs are being held. I developed both the curriculum and the activities for that section. I did a lot to be able to elevate the manufacturing sector and upgrading the skills for people to be able to produce quality items. And I made Chuakali a respectable organization and a very respectable employer in the work sector. I also became the chairman of the University Council of Nairobi when I developed the parallel degrees, which most of you are beneficiary of it, and that had the effect of expanding the education program immensely. During that period of time, I was also Kenya's permanent representative to United Nations. I developed various models. I'm the one who negotiated various conventions, Biodiversity Convention, Climate Change Convention, the Desertification Convention, the Prior Informed Consent and Hazardous Waste Convention. Those are within my purview. I became the president of the Multilateral Fund, also as well as the vice chair of the Governing Council of UNEP on 2 occasions. I've also served as a minister for, apart from being a minister for technical training and applied technology, I also served as a minister for local government, a minister for health, and a minister for education, and a minister for foreign affairs. During the health portfolio, I'm the one who negotiated and developed for the funds to put up the level 6 hospital, the KTRG, Kisi Teaching and Referral Hospital, and the contiguous health centers like Marani, Kerenyo, Nanga, Keroka, Namache, Ogembo, Kenyanya, Marambe, Liyabe, and the Viana Health Centers, and many others, small dispensaries that we built during that period of time. As a Minister for Education, I was responsible for putting up a lot of infrastructure in schools and also improving the quality of education. I also rose up to the chair position for African Ministers of Education. I was the chair, and we started the thematic university campuses in various zones within Africa. I've also held various positions as a chairman of athletics. All said and done, I've had an all-round experience in most of these things. One of the reasons why I am vowing to be the governor for Kisii County is to plow back this enormous experience that I've accumulated over a period of time, being able to set up standards of programs. I invite the diaspora to be able to join me in the development, to participate in the development of the county. I have in mind, for instance, getting the value addition of various products, particularly adding value to the avocado sector, the banana sector, and the vegetable sector, and many other sectors, by participating in putting up cold storage chains, which will act as marketing centers, where the goods and wares are brought for grading and for labeling, and also for exports within the local market, domestic market, and external markets. Through this means, our farmer will be guaranteed of returns which are commensurable to the efforts that they put and the investment they put in farming activities. In adding value addition to these elements, it will mean creating new industries so that people can earn more. And that's where the diaspora participation in investment and in putting their money where it belongs, which has a return from not only the farmer, but also creates opportunities for employment for our young people. I also want them to be able to participate in the
I mean, I think Elisha, it just ended. It ended.
It's not here, it's... No, it has ended. I think it was cut.